Okay, so for pages 3 and 4, you're going to need a couple different things. So we're starting on page 3. You're going to need the diagram that we filled in during our in-class activity. And then for page 4, you're going to need these 3 papers. You're not going to need all of them, but we're going to need parts of them. It's animal cells reading, this vocab sheet that starts with organelle, and this sort of vocab pictures with the one that has animal cell in the bottom corner. So we're going to start by, on page 3, we are going to just put in our animal cell model or diagram. So you just cut that out. Go ahead and trim it up so that it fits on your notebook, or in your notebook. Mine has a little bit of sugar stuck to it from our candy. And that's just going to get glued in on page 3. Pretty simple. Okay, then page 4, we're going to need those new pieces of paper. So first at the top, don't forget your page number. The first thing we're going to do is the vocab word organelle. That's this one right here. So go ahead and get that one cut out. And you also need that first picture. So organelle. Get that cut out, and when you're done and you're ready to move on, go ahead and unpause the video. Okay, so I promised neater handwriting for this definition, and I will do my best. So our definition for the word organelle is a tiny, which just means really small, structure. So it's like something that's built. Structure that performs, so that does, that performs a specific, so it means like it's just particular to that specific function or job. So it performs a specific job, function, or job for that cell. So it's like a tiny organ or a little organ. So organelle equals little organ. So an organ would be like, remember, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, things like that. So think of something that is like an organelle, a tiny thing that performs a specific job. So I'm going to give some examples. You cannot use my examples, so I hope you have the sound on, because if I see any of these, you will not get credit. So I'm thinking of like a Q-tip or a cotton swab. Cleans small things. Or a Band-Aid. For cuts and scrapes. What else is a small thing that does a specific job? A calculator. Not very tiny, but you know what I mean. Does math. Here are some examples of some organelles. Our most important one, for the nucleus, for the endoplasmic reticulum, for the cell membrane. We've got, what else do we have? Oh, mitochondria. Feel free to add more, but that's enough. And then you're going to go ahead and put that picture here. Remember to answer question number 3. This time, if I come around and I see you haven't answered question number 3, I'm going to put a big red X on your piece of paper, which everyone loves big red X's. So go ahead and get that glued in all the way at the top of the page. Like so. And make sure that you put in that picture. So that picture is just a picture of 9 different organelles. So how does 9 different organelles represent the word organelle? I don't know, but that shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Okay. The next thing is this guy. Animal cell. So animal cell, these are the basic building blocks of life in animals. So you're going to go ahead and get that glued in all the way at the bottom of the page in the middle. So if you have your notebook, just get that glued in right there. It's going to get covered up, but that information will still be there, and that's important. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this paper. You're going to want a highlighter so that you can remember the important parts. So this article is about animal cells. Animal cells are eukaryotic cells. That's a word that we'll come back to. Like all eukaryotic cells, animal cells contain a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. That means all the organelles are hanging out inside of that cell membrane. Organelles are structures that perform various functions. In this passage, we will read about several important animal cell organelles. The cell membrane is a structure that surrounds the cell. It acts as a barrier. It allows substances to pass in and out of the cell and helps a cell communicate with other cells. Cytoplasm, which I don't know why that's not bold. Cytoplasm is a jelly-like material located in the cell in which organelles are contained. It is composed or made of water and dissolved nutrients and salts. The nucleus is often referred to as the control center of the cell. It contains DNA and controls many of the cell's functions. Within the nucleus is a structure called the nucleolus. Remember that? There's like little nucleus. And it produces parts of the ribosomes. Now, ribosomes, remember those were our nerds, are small organelles where protein synthesis takes place. That means that's where it's made. Okay. They are found floating freely in the cytoplasm. Remember, the nerds were all over the place. Or they can be attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum, big word, or the ER, is a series of interconnected, that just means like things that are all connected together, membranes found outside the nucleus. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, rough and smooth. The rough ER has ribosomes attached to it, giving it a rough appearance. It transports materials throughout the cell and produces proteins. The smooth ER does not have ribosomes attached to it. It also transports materials throughout the cell, but it produces lipids instead of proteins. Then we've got our Golgi bodies, also called the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi complex or the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi complex. They sort and package materials such as proteins and carbohydrates into vesicles. And that's like the post office. These vesicles are delivered to certain parts of the cell or exported from the cell. We've got our vacuoles, our vesicles, which is just a little pocket of stuff that store nutrients, waste, or water. Sometimes we name vacuoles based on what they contain. For example, a food vacuole contains food. Lysosomes are small, round vesicles that contain enzymes that digest the nutrients and break down old cell parts. To digest food, they merge with food vacuoles to digest nutrients. And then last but not least on here, we've got our mitochondria. They are round or rod-shaped organelles with a double membrane. That means they have two membranes, so two things going around it, so like this. And then they have stuff in there. A mitochondrion is often called a powerhouse of the cell because it produces energy for the cell. Mitochondria convert or change chemical energy in sugar to usable energy for the cell. This energy is known as ATP. Let's go to the back and look at these questions. So we've got all of our organelles. So briefly describe the function of the organelle. So they've got the organelle listed here, and what is the function? So function just means what does it do? What's its job? What does it do? So let's go for an example, and let's do the endoplasmic reticulum since there's two of those. Look for the word in the endoplasmic reticulum. So they both transport materials through the cell, whether it's rough or smooth. Transport materials. Doesn't have to be a long function description, just its general thing. Okay, question number 2. How do we answer that? Compare and contrast the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So a great way to do that would be maybe like a Venn diagram, or just we can do both. So we could do rough, both, smooth. So what do they both do? And what makes them different? There should be 2 things that are different. So one has something that the other one doesn't have, and they both transport different things. There should be one thing they have in common. So remember, that's in paragraph, what is that? 1, 2, 3, paragraph 3. How does the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER, Golgi bodies, and cell membrane work together? Ooh, how are they going to work together? That's a great question. So you're going to need paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can start it with these organelles work together by ... You want to finish that out, and we'll try to do a little bit of that one together. The last one. What might happen to a cell if lysosomes burst and release their contents into the cytoplasm? Justify your answer. So that means I want you to say why you think that answer that you gave is correct. So we could say, I think if lysosomes burst, blah, blah, blah would happen. You say da 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 would happen because ... and explain or justify your answer. So let's think about what is in a lysosome. So remember, they're digesting the nutrients and breaking down old cell stuff. So think about what is in there. So that's paragraph 4, where you want to think about that. And remember that the cytoplasm is just the stuff that's hanging out around the cell, keeping it all together. So when you're finished with that, you're going to get that glued in. Just remember to put glue right at the top of the page. And you're going to get that glued in right underneath here. You're going to notice that it is going to hang out over the bottom. So you want to fold it up so that you can still read the word animal cells, so that you know what that paragraph is about. There you go. There is page 4. So that was pages 3 and 4.